Today you're going to learn 5 proven yet little known strategies to help you improve your credit score by 50 points fast. In fact, my brother Mark recently used just one of these strategies and saw his credit score jump from 591 to 620 in just a few days. Hey everyone, I'm Chris Huntley with Credit Knox, and by the end of this video, you'll learn the stupid, simple strategy responsible for my brother's lightning fast credit score increase, along with 4 more powerful credit score boosts. Let's open up that credit door, baby. Okay, so let's dive right into tip number 1. But I want you to know that these are lesser known ways to increase your credit score. I'm not going to bore you with the same old tired credit building tips that you can find anywhere and that you probably already know. You need to keep a low credit utilization rate. Be sure to pay your bills on time. Hey, don't get me wrong, while making your payments on time and keeping low balances are super important, you're looking for insider tips here, and that's my promise to you. Lesser known credit building tips without all the fluff. I'm bringing the heat, baby. Best of all, these strategies take little to no time and little to no money. In fact, one of the strategies I'll share, the borrow a kidney strategy, takes just minutes and it won't cost you a dime. Having said that, let's get on to credit score hack number 1. Credit score hack number 1, the Goldmine Strategy. We call this one the Goldmine Strategy because you are literally sitting on a gold mine that you don't even know about. All you got to do is grab that pick and start reaping the benefits. And the crazy thing is, most of you can do this right now, in the next 10 minutes after watching this video, and you'll see a credit boost within weeks. But I also know for a fact that most of you have never heard of this strategy. In a recent survey conducted by Credit Knox, we asked 590 young adults in America aged 20 to 29 how many of them were paying rent or other utilities bills. About half, 51% of them were paying rent and 62% were paying gas and electric bill. So why am I bringing up your rent and utilities payments in a credit video? Well, because in tip number 1, the Goldmine Strategy, I'm going to show you how to use these payments to increase your credit score. You see, we're all aware that if we pay our credit card bill on time, or a car loan, or maybe a store card religiously, that gets reported to the credit bureaus, and that can help our credit scores. Cha-ching! But if you're paying rent or utilities to, let's say, to a gas bill or a water bill, and you're paying on time every month, you know how much credit you get for that as far as your credit score goes and on your credit report? You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir! And you're sitting on a gold mine because you can get credit for that. It's so simple. If you want to get credit for your utilities payments, Experian, one of the big 3 credit bureaus, has a service where they allow you to report your bills for free. All you do is you go to ExperianBoost.com, you sign up for free, link your account from which you pay your utilities. Then you choose the bill that you want to report. Examples of utilities could be your home phone, your cell phone, gas, water, electric bill. When I signed up, they even included my solar payment. Now, Experian reports that 85% of users with bad credit who signed up for Experian Boost raised their credit and reported an average credit score increase of 14 points. Now, it's important for you to know that Experian will potentially find and give you credit for payments that you've been making for years. Not just your future payments, but they look back. And that's where your boost comes from. You get all that positive payment history instantaneously. That's why you see users like this, Hummingbird52 on Twitter, reporting an instant gain of 15 points when she used Experian Boost. Just keep in mind that Experian Boost only impacts your Experian score. Experian will not report your utilities payment history to the other big 2 credit bureaus, Equifax and TransUnion. And also, as I said earlier, they have to link up to your bank account to verify your utilities payment history. And I know a lot of people don't like that, so be aware of that. And also, Experian can only link up to a bank account. So if you pay your utilities bills with a credit card, it's not going to work for you. Part 2 of the Goldmine Strategy is our tip number 2, and that's to also report your rent. So think about it. Very few property managers report your diligent, on-time rental payments to the credit bureaus. And that's not fair. You should get credit for that. And it's easy to fix this problem and get an instant boost to your credit. You simply use a rental reporting company. So just like Experian allows you to report utilities payments, well, there's rent reporting companies, and they allow you to report rent to the credit agencies. And it couldn't be simpler. You pay a one-time fee, usually less than $100, and the rent reporting company will reach out to your landlord to verify your rent history, and then reports their findings to the credit bureaus, giving you a quick credit score boost. Now, unlike Experian Boost, most of these companies don't require you to give your bank info, and in a lot of cases, they'll report to more than one credit bureau. So you get a boost to more than just one of your credit scores. A lot of these companies will report as far back as 2 years of your rental payments. And let me tell you something, this strategy really works. In fact, here's a couple testimonials from the company that we recommend for this service, Rent Reporters. Caitlin signed herself up and her husband and said that they were amazed to see his score jump 60 points overnight. Shantae saw an incredible 120-point increase to her score at TransUnion. In fact, Rent Reporters claims that their users see an average increase of 40 points in just 10 days. 10 days. Now, if you use the rent reporting strategy, just be aware that these companies will be reaching out to your landlord. So the speed at which it works is a little bit dependent on your landlord's response. Also, keep in mind that not all rental reporting companies are created equal. Many of them only offer to report to one of the 3 major credit agencies. So that means that your credit score will only improve at that one credit bureau because the agencies don't share information collected with one another. And in my opinion, it's a waste of your time and money to pay a rent reporting service to only report to one credit agency. The only way to maximize your rent reporting is by choosing a service that reports to more than one credit bureau. One of the companies that does this is RentTrack, also known as Credit Pop. They're the only reporting service to report to all 3 of the major agencies. However, unlike the other reporting services, they require you to make your rental or lease payment through their company, which then sends the check onto your landlord. Problem with that is that you have to make your payment early. You probably want to send it in about 7 days early to make sure it's in time so that they can send it on to your landlord. And if you're like most Americans, you probably are paying your rent on the very last day that you can possibly pay it. So it's just not a feasible solution for a lot of Americans. That's why the company that we've been recommending a lot lately is Rent Reporters. It's quick and it's easy. They report to 2 credit agencies, TransUnion and Equifax. And all you have to do is pay your rent on time like you always have, right to your landlord, and you'll see a credit jump by an average of 40 points in 10 days. Okay, so let's move on to tip number 3, the borrow a kidney strategy. Now remember I mentioned this one earlier as something that you could do to increase your credit score fast and is entirely free. Well, here it is. It's a lesser known credit strategy that we call the borrow a kidney strategy. And here's a real life example from Marty, who wrote us saying that she was going to try this strategy on her 19-year-old daughter who had no credit at all. Marty had a credit card that she'd opened years ago with a great payment history, and it had pretty big credit limit of $21,000 on it. So here's what she did. She called up her credit card company and asked them to add her daughter as what's called an authorized user. Now, even though her daughter didn't get an actual physical credit card, she got added as a user to the card. So she got her mom's credit history from the card, and the results? Well, after 1 month, her daughter's credit score went from nothing to 766. So here's the borrow a kidney strategy in a nutshell. You simply ask a friend or family member, typically it's going to be a mom or dad, who has an established credit card with solid payment history to add you as an authorized user to their card. Your credit report will adopt the card's payment history, usually resulting in a quick credit score boost to you. In other words, the payment history of the card holder becomes your payment history, and you get credit for potentially years of on-time payments. Okay, so here's another example of how well this strategy works. I mentioned a poll that we ran here at Credit Knox that was a nationwide poll amongst adults ages 20 to 29. And one of the questions we asked them is how many of them have been added as an authorized user. Unfortunately, only about 10% of them had. But we found out some really interesting things about the respondents who had been added as an authorized user. Out of the ones who had been added as an authorized user, 46% of them had a 680 or better credit score. And then you want to compare that to the poor, miserable souls who had not been added as an authorized user. Only 28% of them had a credit score of 680 or higher. And my friends, I know there are a lot of factors that go into building a credit score, but this was spread out across all income levels, education levels, and ethnicities. People with bad credit, people who are new to credit. I mean, the authorized user effect does not discriminate. It just works for just about anybody. Now, most likely you've never heard of the borrow kidney strategy, but even if you have, odds are you still haven't been added as an authorized user. But we're going to fix that. Oh, and a quick note to those of you who don't have mom and dad wrapped around your little finger.
Hey Mom, can we get some meatloaf? Ma! Meatloaf! We want it now! God, I never know where she is.
Oh, but seriously, you might be thinking, my mom or dad would never go for this, or I don't know anyone with an established credit card. Or maybe you've heard of this strategy and you've already asked somebody and they told you no, they wouldn't add you. So stick around, learn the strategy. I got to work around for you. It works fantastic. Bottom line is whatever your barrier is, it's inexcusable. The benefits of this are just too insane. So you got to get in on this borrow kidney strategy. So here's the 3 easy steps to get started. First step's to identify the friend or family member with the best credit card for the borrow kidney strategy. Now, you want to ask your friends or family members, most likely again, it's going to be a parent, if they have credit cards that they've had for a long time. So here's the ideal account. The ideal account's been open for 5+ years and has a large limit. I mean, generally speaking, it's going to be the bigger the better. And you also want to make sure that it has an excellent payment history. You want to make sure they haven't been late on any payments. You don't want that on your credit history. And you want to make sure that the account is currently in good standing. Step 2, ask mom or dad, friend, brother, sister if they'd be willing to do you a big favor and promise them that it'll be quick and won't cost them any money and it'll be no risk to them. And this here is how you're going to convince them to add you as a user. I mean, the truth is there's very little risk to them as long as you don't get a credit card and start making charges. You can even have them call up the credit card company. This will give them the warm fuzzies. Just have them ask the representative about the strategy. Chances are the credit card rep has seen this and done this for people 100 times. They'll speak very favorably of it. It's a legitimate strategy. And they'll say, yeah, you should go ahead and do that for your son or daughter. And then they'll tell you everything that I just told you, that you don't have to send them a credit card. And it'll make them feel more comfortable. And so if you can just get them on the phone and have them call into the credit card company, that's going to be a monumental step for you. So I know some of this sounds a little bit like weird, like if you've never heard of this, I know when I first heard of it, I thought, is this even legal? But seriously, this is a legit strategy. So if they need even more convincing, be ready. You know, do some Google searching on the authorized user strategy. I mean, you're going to find studies and articles from reputable places like Wells Fargo and NerdWallet and Credit Karma. All of them have written about it, and you can have these things pulled up and ready to show mom and dad that, look, this is a legit strategy. It's been done for years and years and years. It's not going to hurt anybody, and it's only going to help me. It's not going to cost you anything. Can you do me a big favor here, mom or dad? And that brings us to the last step where all they do is they hop on the phone, they call up the credit card company, and they give them the information that they need to add you. Again, it's going to be typically your name, date of birth, address, and social security number. Again, it only takes a couple of minutes, and in most cases, the credit card company doesn't charge anything to add an authorized user, so it's typically going to be free. And it's really for free, and for the time that you're going to put into it, it's really one of the most beneficial things that you can do to give your credit a big boost in virtually just days. Okay, so let's talk to those of you who don't know anyone who has a pristine credit card history. Or maybe you've asked someone before and they told you that they wouldn't add you as a user. All is not lost, my child. So what you can do is use a company that sells trade lines. Now, one of the companies that we like who does this is Tradeline Supply Company. They offer placement as an authorized user on low utilization trade lines. It's very similar to how you might get added to a parent's card. I'll have a link in the description for more information about buying trade lines. Okay, so credit hack number 4 is to open up what's called a Fingerhut account. Now, this is the one I told you about that helped my brother to raise his credit score by 29 points in just a few days. Now, the truth is he actually raised, over the course of a couple of months on Fingerhut, raised his credit by about 50 points.
Yes! 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 Yes!
So here's the steps to the Fingerhut strategy. 1, you sign up for a Fingerhut online catalog card. It's very similar to like a store card. The difference with Fingerhut is they approved just about anyone with bad credit or with no credit. 2, Make small purchases every couple months from the Fingerhut store. I mean, the site's very similar to Amazon, where you can buy just about anything that you can find over at Amazon. The difference is that Fingerhut's pricing is quite a bit higher, okay? But let's keep our eye on the ball. This is a credit building strategy, and you're only going to be making a small purchase once in a while. So we want to do this because they're going to be reporting this to the credit bureaus, and it's going to help your credit. And speaking of helping your credit, that leads us to step number 3. You got to pay your bill every month on time, but you don't want to pay off the whole balance. So you want to keep a small balance, say about 10 to 20% of your limit at all times. And there's a very specific credit building strategy for this, and it's because Fingerhut, as long as you keep a small balance and pay on time every month, they will increase your credit limit usually. And that helps with things like credit utilization, which accounts for 30% of your credit score. So basically what this is, it's like an unsecured credit card, except you can only use it to buy things in the Fingerhut store. So it helps because it's a revolving credit line. It reports to all 3 credit bureaus, and because they're giving you credit, it increases your credit utilization, which, as we said, is going to help your overall score. And here's how that works. So my brother had a 591 credit score when he applied, and they gave him a $1,000 limit. And at the time, he only had $2,000 in other revolving credit with credit cards that he had. So by getting approved for the Fingerhut card, well, he increased his credit limit by another $1,000. It went from $2,000 to $3,000. That's a 50% gain in seconds. So that immediately decreased his credit utilization, and that's why he saw the immediate spike in his credit score. Overall, this is just one of the simplest ways that you can improve your credit. You do have to buy a few overpriced things from the Fingerhut store, but if it's stuff that you were going to buy anyway on Amazon, you can look at it almost like a free credit building tool, and it works really well whether you have new credit or bad credit. So we highly recommend this strategy. Now, the last tip that I want to share with you, and maybe I've saved the best for last, is to get a credit builder loan. This is one of the kind of lesser known or lesser understood credit building tips. So you all know how a loan works, right? So you take out a loan, and what's the bank do? They give you money right up front. Now you have to pay that loan back over time. So you make payments with interest over time. So a credit builder loan is similar to that, but instead of getting your money up front, in a credit builder loan, instead of getting your money up front, like in a regular loan, you get it once you finish making all your payments. So you get it on the backside. This is a dream come true for the lender, right? I mean, there's no risk to them at all. So it cuts out the risk, but the flip side of that is it becomes an incredible credit building tool for people who have bad credit, because there's no credit check. And as far as your credit score goes, it looks to the credit bureaus just like another type of installment loan, such as an auto loan. Except they're very small dollar loans, and they usually have much shorter terms, like 6 months to 2 years. So does it work? Absolutely. Self-Help recently studied hundreds of borrowers who took out credit builder loans with Federal Credit Union and found that the average borrower who held their loan through to the end of its term and made all their payments, they increased their score by an average of 68 points. From our experience here at Credit Knox, what we found is that most people see a small bump in their credit score immediately after getting the loan, such as 15 to 25 points, and then they see small monthly increases, averaging about just 5 points per month over the life of the loan. Okay, so those were our 5 lesser known tips to help you to build your credit score 50 to 100 points fast. Now head over to creditknox.com/credit boost and get our free 4-week credit boost ebook. It's a perfect complimentary cheat sheet that helps you go along with this video. It breaks down all the best tips that we just discussed and has an additional bonus tip that you don't want to miss in there. Thanks so much for joining me in this video. If you loved it, please leave a comment, please subscribe, please share, and thank you. We'll see you again soon.